This is John Huddleston with A Better Tree Company, and today we are looking at soil moisture. This pine tree here declined for unknown reasons. It's got a bunch of old holes in it from sapsuckers pecking at the bark, but there's really not a whole lot of evidence of bark beetles. Even after we've started to remove the tree, we've looked at the branches for any blue staining that's associated with the beetles. We can see here by the pie cut in the trunk that there's no blue staining in there associated with beetles. There were some old turpentine hits around the base, but again, those were old, not very many. And again, there was no blue staining to associate with beetle attack. So we're checking soil moisture to find out what the problem is. The property manager has been watering the trees, he told me. So we started checking the actual soil moisture to see what it looked like, starting at about 12 feet away. We didn't get down terribly far before we hit hard pan, but at about 12 feet away, about 8 inches, 10 inches down, we have okay soil moisture. It could be better. It's mixed with a little bit of dry stuff from the top that fell down, but it's okay. We still got a lot of clumping. There's some big fractures, meaning that there's air in the soil too. So that's not bad. The second place we went about 3 feet closer. And again, down there, about a foot down, we have what you can see is pretty wet sand. Let me see if I can get it out of there. Wet in terms of soil moisture anyway. So give it a squeeze, big clumps, couple fractures, good soil moisture. And that's about a foot down. The top couple inches were pretty dry, powdery dry, and then we ran into this layer of what looks like, almost like ash. And you can see that here again. And this is with the next sample, of course, about 10 inches, foot down. We got good soil moisture, perfect soil moisture. A little bit of air, a little bit of water. Now, and that was out of this hole that's now buried. Good. See if we can get him all out of there. Yeah, you can see how wet that stuff is coming out of there. Real wet. You can actually start to feel the soil moisture on that. So now we're getting closer to where the water was actually, where the tree is actually being irrigated. As we get to this hole here, about 4 feet away from the trunk, the soil type changes. These trees, I think, were large transplants and were brought in where they were grown in a field. Now there's a bunch of clay content to the sand. So we got a mixture of clay and sand and way too much water. I mean, you could take my fingerprints out of that. So way too much water. We see this is the most common problem, is trees get water right up against the trunk. And of course, mature trees, their roots continue to grow and go out underground. So watering the trees just right up against the trunk puts a lot of water where it doesn't belong. And when I say a lot of water, I mean way too much water where it doesn't belong. So the correct way to have been watering these trees would have been to have these, and this one doesn't even have a top on it, so it's just flooding this area right next to the trunk. So the correct way to water these trees would be set up sprinklers here, basically spraying out that way, maybe even further away, maybe even starting out here at about 4 feet, and just spraying out that way and encouraging all the absorbing roots that are near the surface, spreading out the water more. So this tree's probably getting the correct amount of water, but it's getting it all in one spot, and it's not getting any air. And tree roots need air, otherwise they can't suck up the water, with few exceptions. Okay, that's our 5 minutes on soil moisture. Thanks for joining us.